Every man faces moments that define him. Moments where everything should work perfectly, where confidence should flow naturally, where the body should respond exactly as expected. But what if I told you that these moments aren't isolated events? What if the real battle isn't happening in that decisive instant, but hours, days, or even weeks before? This is the story of how I discovered that failure doesn't begin when you think it does. It begins in the shadows of your daily choices, in the quiet sabotage of habits you never questioned. This is about the invisible war your body fights before the moment of truth even arrives. I used to think performance was about showing up when it mattered. The moment of truth. The critical instant when everything needed to align. When it didn't, I blamed the obvious suspects. Nerves, age, stress, exhaustion, the grind of daily life. I'd tell myself it was normal, that everyone goes through it, that next time would be different. But next time came, and the same shadow followed me. The frustration was suffocating. Not just the physical failure, but the mental weight that came with it. The shame that settled in my chest like concrete. The fear that crept into my thoughts every time intimacy approached. I started avoiding situations altogether, making excuses, creating distance. I felt like my body had betrayed me, like something fundamental had broken inside me without warning. But here's what I didn't understand then. My body hadn't betrayed me. It had been warning me all along. I just wasn't listening. The turning point came on an ordinary night. I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone at 2 in the morning, the blue light burning into my retinas. I'd been doing this for months, maybe years. Endless scrolling, videos, notifications, dopamine hits every few seconds. My brain was wired, my body exhausted, but I couldn't stop. When I finally put the phone down, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced. My heart felt restless. I woke up the next morning feeling drained, foggy, depleted. That's when it clicked. The moment of truth wasn't failing because of what happened in that moment. It was failing because of everything I'd done before it. I started researching. Not just surface-level articles, but real studies, documented observations, the actual science of how the body works. What I discovered changed everything. The human body doesn't fail suddenly. It doesn't just shut down without reason. It responds to patterns, to accumulation, to the signals you send it every single day. And I had been sending all the wrong signals. Let me explain something critical about how arousal and performance actually work. It's not magic. It's not willpower. It's physiology. When your body prepares for intimacy, it triggers a complex cascade of events. Blood vessels dilate. Nitric oxide is released. Smooth muscle relaxes. Blood flows to where it needs to go. Your nervous system shifts from fight or flight mode into a parasympathetic state, the state where connection and pleasure are even possible. But here's the problem. Every single one of those processes can be disrupted long before the moment arrives. And most men have no idea they're disrupting them. I started tracking my own habits with brutal honesty. Late night screen time. Poor sleep. Constant stress with no outlet. A diet heavy in processed foods and sugar. Zero exercise. Endless stimulation from social media, videos, notifications, always chasing the next dopamine spike. I was living in a state of chronic activation, my nervous system constantly on edge, my body never fully recovering. Circulation was the first thing I learned about. Blood flow is everything. If your cardiovascular system is compromised, if your blood vessels are constricted, if inflammation is present, nothing works properly. I wasn't eating foods that supported vascular health. I wasn't moving my body. I was sitting for 12 hours a day, letting everything stagnate. Then there's nitric oxide. This molecule is absolutely essential for the physical response. It's what allows smooth muscle to relax and blood vessels to dilate. But nitric oxide production is sensitive. It's affected by diet, stress levels, sleep quality, inflammation, even your gut health. I was doing nothing to support it and everything to suppress it. Energy was another revelation. I kept thinking I was just tired. But it wasn't normal tiredness. It was depletion. My adrenal system was fried from chronic stress. My testosterone levels were likely suppressed from poor sleep and sedentary living. My mitochondria, the energy powerhouses of every cell, were struggling because I wasn't giving my body the nutrients or rest it needed to function. The dopamine issue hit me hardest. I'd spent years conditioning my brain to expect instant gratification. Every scroll, every click, every notification delivered a small reward. My brain had become desensitized to natural pleasures, to real connection, to anything that required patience or presence. When intimacy required me to be fully there, my brain couldn't engage. It was too busy craving the next digital hit. And then the emotional component. Anxiety, shame, pressure. These emotions don't just live in your head. They live in your body. They activate your sympathetic nervous system, the system designed for survival, for running from danger. That system shuts down everything non-essential, including arousal. So every time I approached intimacy with fear or shame, my body interpreted it as a threat and responded accordingly. It shut down. I realized I wasn't dealing with a failure in the moment. I was dealing with a system that had been quietly breaking down for years. For anyone watching this and recognizing yourself in what I'm describing, I want you to know you're not alone. Millions of men experience this. Erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, loss of energy, occasional impotence, the feeling that your body doesn't respond the way it used to. These aren't moral failures. They're not signs of weakness. They're the predictable result of a system under constant pressure with no support. If you want to understand this more deeply, I've left a comprehensive educational guide in the first link in the description below. It covers everything I'm talking about here. The science of circulation, the role of nitric oxide, how your nervous system affects physical response, what actually happens in your body before problems appear, and how to recognize the silent warnings your body sends. This isn't a magic solution. It's education. It's understanding what's really happening so you can make informed choices. Because here's what I learned, the solution isn't about trying harder in the moment of truth. It's about removing the sabotage that happens before you even get there. I started making changes. Small ones at first. I put my phone away 2 hours before bed. I started walking every morning, just 15 minutes to get blood moving. I cut back on sugar and processed foods, added more leafy greens, nuts, foods rich in nitric oxide precursors like L-arginine and L-citrulline. I focused on sleep, creating a dark, cool environment, prioritizing 7 to 8 hours. I started managing stress differently. Not by ignoring it, but by giving my nervous system a chance to reset. Breathing exercises. Cold showers. Time in nature. Anything that signaled to my body that it was safe, that it could relax. I reduced the constant dopamine overload. I deleted apps that kept me hooked. I limited my exposure to endless stimulation. I retrained my brain to appreciate slower, deeper experiences. Real conversations. Physical touch. Presence. The changes didn't happen overnight. But they happened. My energy returned first. Then my sleep improved. Then my mind felt clearer, less anxious, less trapped in cycles of shame and fear. And slowly, my body started responding again. Not perfectly. Not every time. But enough to know that the system was healing, that the sabotage was ending. I learned that circulation improves when you move, when you eat well, when you reduce inflammation. I learned that nitric oxide production increases with specific nutrients, with exercise, with reduced stress. I learned that your nervous system can shift out of chronic fight or flight when you give it consistent signals of safety and rest. I learned that dopamine regulation improves when you stop chasing instant hits and start engaging with life directly. Most importantly, I learned that the body doesn't need to be forced. It needs to be supported. It needs the right conditions. It needs you to stop sabotaging it with habits that work against its natural design. If you're struggling with this, if you felt the shame, the frustration, the fear that something is permanently broken, I want to tell you it's not. Your body isn't defective. It's responding exactly as it should to the conditions you've created. Change the conditions, and the response changes too. The educational guide I mentioned earlier goes deeper into all of this. It's in the first link in the description. It's designed for men who are tired of living in the dark about their own bodies, who want real answers without judgment, who are ready to understand the connection between daily habits and physical performance. This is the continuation of what we've started here. Because the truth is, the moment of truth isn't the problem. What you do before it is. The late nights, the poor diet, the chronic stress, the overstimulation, the lack of movement, the unaddressed anxiety. These are the invisible saboteurs. And once you see them, you can dismantle them. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. I'm saying your body wants to work. It's designed to work. You just have to stop getting in its way. This journey taught me that strength isn't about performing flawlessly every time. It's about understanding your body well enough to give it what it needs. It's about recognizing the patterns that drain you and choosing different ones. It's about reclaiming control over the systems you thought had abandoned you. You're not broken. You're not defective. You're not alone. You're human, living in a world that constantly demands more while giving your body less of what it actually needs. The moment you understand that, the moment you start addressing the real causes instead of just managing the symptoms, everything changes. If this resonated with you, if you found value in this story, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. There's more to explore, more to understand, more journeys like this one that can help you see your body, your habits, and your health in a completely new light. This isn't just about one problem. It's about reclaiming your vitality, your confidence, your connection to yourself. The moment of truth is waiting. But it's not the enemy. The enemy is everything you do before it that weakens your response. Change that, and you change everything.